Hello everyone, I'm Frank, and welcome to Frank Puzzles, and this is today's hard level difficulty puzzle, and it's called Monster, appropriately, by Abdul the Killer. And here are the rules. Standard irregular Sudoku rules apply. Fill every row, column, and region with the digits 1 through 9 so that no number repeats in a row, column, or region. So instead of boxes, we have regions, which look very unique. Yeah, this is a new one. So this is essentially a box, but with one removed from the upper right corner and put to the lower right. These are sort of like step-like things. Yeah. So instead of the boxes, you have 1 through 9 is unique in each region, not a box. Shading, except for errors, see below. In the completed grid, cells containing numbers exactly one greater than an immediate neighbor, diagonal or orthogonal within their box. I'm assuming it's their region. It has to be region because there are no boxes. I mean, there's one big box. But basically, shaded cells, except for errors, there are errors, interesting. See below. In the completed grid, cells containing numbers exactly one greater than an immediate neighbor, diagonal or orthogonal within their box are shaded, and otherwise they're unshaded. So, for example, if this was a 6, it would have to be next to a 5, which it is next to a 5 in the region. So, say this was a 7. The 6 being outside the region would not contribute toward the shading. So, even if it's... Okay, so perhaps a better example would be this. So, say this was... Say this was an 8 and this was a 7. This is still unshaded, and it works because this 7 is outside the region, and it's not in the same region as the 8 would be. And, of course, it can't be 8 because of that 8, but we'll get to that later. So if they're shaded, that means they have a neighbor which has a digit that's one less than what's in this cell. And if it's unshaded, that means it does not have a neighbor that is in the same region that has one less than that cell. I don't know what errors are. What does it mean by except for errors? See below. Okay. Star battle. There are exactly 2 starred cells in each row, column, and region. No 2 starred cells touch, not even diagonally. That's the error. Okay. All starred cells are shaded incorrectly. So therefore, they're in each of these regions and each of these rows and each of these columns, there are 2 cells which have the wrong shading, right? So they basically would be like, so if, say, this was shaded, and then this would basically mean that there cannot be a number next to it in the region that is one less than it, right? So from that we know, and also there's these stars in the star battle rule cannot touch each other, not even diagonally. So you cannot have stars that are like this. You cannot have stars touching each other, so that doesn't work. This doesn't work as a valid star battle. This would work as a valid star battle. This would work also. But basically, you just can't touch each other for star battle. The stars can never touch, and that is within each. There are 2 per region, 2 per row, and 2 per column. And remember, the star cells are shaded incorrectly. So the shading is the opposite, essentially. And those are all the rules. If you'd like to play along, there's going to be a link in the description. And now, I'm going to get started. Let's go. Okay, what does that mean? Where can the stars be, essentially? So if there's a star here, that means there's a corresponding star here. Huh. Well, for one thing, one can never be then in the middle-ish of these. So there's no, in these regions, so in the normal shading rules with the regions, anytime you had a 1 in the center of the box, it would always be touching a neighbor. So it would always have to be shaded unless it was a 1. But in this one, that's not the case. Okay, so for this one, the 4 is correct. So the 4 is shaded correctly. So this is correct. Because the 3 is in the same region. The 9 is shaded correctly, so that's correct. So we're going to mark the correct ones with green, and then the stars, obviously, with red. So 4 is correct, 9 is correct. We don't know about 5. In fact, 5 is correct. Because 4 can't be anywhere here in this row, and 4 can't be anywhere here in this row. So 4 has to be in this column for this region. Or sorry, this row for this region. So 5 is correct. So this is correct also. 8, we don't know. 6, we don't know. If 9 is correct, 2, where are the 1? Well, what's too many possibilities for 1? So for 2, 2 has to be one of these two. One cannot be here. One cannot be here, cannot be here. So 1 in this region has to be either here or here. If the 2 is here, this could be 1 and the shading would be correct. If this is 2, this could be, any of these 3 could be 1 and that would be correct. 9. 9 cannot be here, cannot be here. So 9 is one of, it's either here, here, or here. Okay, we did 1s, we've done 2s. There's only 1 3, so that's not possible. 4s, we've kind of done. So 4 cannot be here, 4 cannot be here, and 4 cannot be here. So in this region, 4 has to be one of these 3. 5s. 5 can't be here, cannot be here, or here. So 5 has to be one of these 3. Interesting. Okay, so 5 cannot be any of these. 5 can't be here, and cannot be here. So for that region, 5 is there. For this region, 5 is one of these 3. Oops, not there. 5 is one of those 3. And each of these works correctly. So if the 5 is in either of these, it's touching the 4. If the 5 is there, it's not touching the 4. So then this works correctly for the 5. 6s. 6s cannot be here or here, but that's still a lot it can be. Can't be here or here. So 6 in this region has to be one of these 3. This can't be 6, this can't be 6. That doesn't really tell us much. 8s. 8s has to be one of these 4 for this region. Cannot be here or here. So it's either here or one of these 3. That's not very limiting. This is here or one of these 3. That's also not very limiting. 9s. 9s cannot... Oh. 9 can't be here, and 9 can't be here, which means 9 has to be one of these 2, which means this is a 2-9 pair, because 2 and 9 can only be in this region in those 2 cells. So 9 cannot be here or here, so this is 2 and 9. Therefore, 1 has to be in this one, in this region. This could be 6. So 5 is one of these two cells. So this is 2 or 9. This is 2 or 9. Okay, so 8 star battles. Okay. So this is correct because 4 can't be here or here. It's hard to see the shading once I color it green, though. Well, okay, we know that the shading is all on the outs. Is all in the square, and then in this horizontal cell. Hmm. Hmm. So the 9 is correct. The 8. So there's two incorrect numbers in each shading in each cell. If this is correct, 8 cannot be in any of the surrounding cells in the shaded. 8 could be here, here, or here. That seems plausible. If 4 is correct, 3 has to be one of those. That's plausible. Oh, this is incorrect. 1 can never be next to a cell that has 1 less in it because it would have to be next to a 0. So this is obviously incorrect. So therefore, all of these are correct around it because of star shading. Right? The stars can't touch itself. So all of these are correct. So this is 4, which is not touching 3. So 3 cannot be a neighboring one. Therefore, 3 has to be in one of these 4. We know 9 is correct, and it's not touching any 8. So 8 has to be one of these 3. What else do we know? This is correct, whatever this is. These are correct, whatever these are. So one of these 3 cells has to be a star. So they all see this, they all touch this one. So this one cannot be a star. So this is good. This is not touching this one, so obviously, so this cannot be 5. This can't be 5 anymore here. If this was 5, oh no, this can be 5. Right, these 5s all work. Right, I forgot about that. So, what are the possibilities for these? So this is 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. Can't be 4. 2, 3. No 1. Could be 2, 3. No 4. No 5. 6, 7, or 8. This can't be 8 because it can't be touching. The 9 can't be touching it. This is not on the grays, the shaded part. So therefore, So the 2 cannot be here. If this was 2, that would be touching a 1 and would have to be therefore shaded, and we know it's not a star, so this is correct. 3 possibly could be there as long as 2 is not there. This could be 2 because it's touching 1, shaded. 3 would have to touch 2, which is possible. 6 would have to touch 5, which is possible. 7 would have to touch 6, which is possible. 8 cannot touch 7, which is possible. 7 cannot touch 6, which is possible. 6 cannot touch 5, which was definitely possible. This is 2, 3, no 4, 5, 6, 7, and it cannot be 8. This is 2, no 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So if this is 2, this is valid, and it's be touching a 1, so it's not shaded. So this is not correct. If it's 3, it could be 2, could be anywhere else. Could be over here, so that's fine. If it's 5, it's not touching 4, so that's valid. If it's 6, it could be the 5 could be there, so that could be valid. 7 could be not touching 6, and that would be valid. This cannot be 2. Okay, so 2 has to be one of these 3 in this region. This is valid. This is a green. Okay, so these 2 are green. Interesting. Because 1 can never be touching anything else. The 1 here is valid, but we don't know which one it is. This cannot be 1, 3, 4, so it's 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This can't be 1, 4, 5, so it's 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9. This could be 5, right, because it's touching 4 in the region. 5 is not touching the 4, so that's fine. 6 could be not touching 5, could be here. 7 could not be touching 6, 8 could not be touching 8, right? So this could be 9 and this could be 8, which would, because this can't be 8. We have 1, 3, 4, and 7 in the rest of row 7. This is 1, 3, 4, 7. This is 1, 3, 4, 7. So one of these 2s at least is correct. We don't know which. Or both. Both could be correct. Because it doesn't have to have 1. Six. Okay, this has to be, okay. This has to be 2. Okay, so this can't be 2. Okay, that's probably where I should have started. This can't be 5 or 9. Where's 5 or 9 in this region? It has to be in these 2 cells. So this is 5 and 9, this is 5 and 9, which makes this 2, 7. Now, the 9, okay, so the 9, If the 9, okay, so first of all, let's eliminate 2 and 7 from the rest of the column. This can't be 2, 7. So where is 4? 4 cannot be here. 4 cannot be here. So 4 has to be one of these 2. So this cannot be 4 over here. This cannot be 4. Therefore, the 5 is valid. Right? The 5 is touching one of the 4s. So this is valid. And because this is valid, one of these must be invalid. You cannot be both of these because they were both touching each other. In fact, these 3 are all touching. This one can't be, or this one could be. One of these 2 is, because neither, okay. That's not true. Oh. Hold up. Can either of these be? No. Right? If this one is, it touches all 3. Oh. These could be invalid. My bad. Right. So I don't know about the validity. The 8 is valid now, though. The 8 has to touch the 7. So that's valid. The 3 is valid because it's not touching the 2. So that's valid. The 6 could be valid or invalid. Okay, so this is valid, this is valid. So then, if it's one of these 2, So one of these two at least has to be the star, right? Because it can't be both of these. So one of these at least has to be. If it's this one, it has to be that one. If it's this one, it has to be that one, which means this one. Oh. One of these three is the star. Actually, it could be both of them. None of these are the star, right? Because they're touching a star. This is not a star because it is surrounded by a 4. It's touching a 4. This is valid because it's a 1 not touching any 0. So the star has to be in two of the stars have to be in 4 of these squares. If a star is here, that means none of these can be stars. If a star is here, that means none of these can be stars. If a star is here, that means none of these can be stars. So if the star is here, and one of these three has to be a star, at least. It could be both, could be two, could be these two. But if this is a star, none of these can be stars, so this one has to be a star. If this is a star, none of these can be stars, so this has to be a star. If this is a star, none of these three can be a star, and therefore these two have to be the stars. So this has to be a star. So this is invalid. So 6 is touching a neighbor that's 1 less, which is 5. So this is 5, this is 9. This is valid. So this is green. The 5 is valid because it's not touching the 4. And therefore the 2 or the 7. So if this is 2, that would be valid because it's touching the 1. And the 7 would be valid because it's not touching the 6. So this cannot be 2. This must be 7 and this must be 2. So which one is incorrect? The 7 is not touching the 6, so this is invalid. The 2 is not touching the 1, so that is valid. So the 2 is valid and the 7 is not valid. So the 7 is not valid, the 6 is not valid. So only one of these is valid here. So this is 3, 4, 6, and 8. This is 3, 4, 6, or 8. This can't be 8. If this is 3, it touches 2, and that's valid. If it's 4, it's not touching 3, and so it's invalid. If it's 6, it's touching 5, and therefore it's valid. And one of these is invalid, and one of these is valid. Okay, so then also this is valid. These are all valid. So 2 is touching 1. So 1 has to be one of these 4 cells in this region. 6. Okay, so this is what? 1, 4, 7, 8. And this is 1, 4, 7, 8. These are 1, 4, 7, 8, but this can't be 8. This can't be 8. This can never be a 1, because this is valid now, and it's a shadow, and 1 can never be touching a 0. 4 could be touching 3. 7 could be touching 6 here. 8 could be cannot be touching 7 here, but could be touching 7 here, so that's valid too. This can't be 2, 4, 5, or 8, or 1. So it could be 3, no 4, 5. Could be 6, 7, no 9, no 8. So this is 3, 6, or 7, and it's not touching a number. So this is valid as 3 because it's not touching 2. It's valid as 6 because it's not touching 5. 5 can only be... Oh, so 5 can't be here. 5 can't be here. 5 can't be here. So this can't be 5 anymore. So we know the 5 is here. So if this is 6, it's not touching a 5, which is valid. If it's 6 here, that could be 5. So one of these two is 5. One of these three is 5. So 5 cannot be here. 5 cannot be here. 5 cannot be here. So 5 is one of these two. Therefore, 5 is here. 5 is here. 5 is here. Therefore, one of these two is 5. Oh, these two are valid also. This cannot be... It could be 1. It can't be... it could be 1 because 1 is valid, not touching itself. 3, or not touching 0. 3 could be valid. 3 cannot be valid because it would be touching 2. 4 could be valid as long as the 3 is not here or here. 5 cannot be because of that. 6 can't be because of this. 7 could be because if 6 is not here, which is possible. Let's... I don't know. We just have to remember that, yeah, these are... So, one of these is invalid. And one of them is valid. Okay, this can't be 2, 4, 7, 8, or 9. So this is 1, 3. It cannot be 1 because 1 can never be next to a 0. So it could be 3 as long as this is as 2 is one of these, which is possible. Can't be 4. Could be 5, could be 6, no 7, 8, or 9. So this is valid, and it touches... If it's 3, the 2 is surrounding it. If it's 5, the 4 is surrounding it. If it's 6, the 5 has to be next to it, which is valid. Okay. This cannot be 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, so this is 1, 2, 3, or 9. And it's valid, but the 1 cannot be there, because if it's 1, they cannot be next to 0. If it's 2, 1 cannot be here, so 1 has to be one of these two. So since 1 is one of those two, this cannot be 1, so 1 is one of those 3 here. 1 is one of these two. This cannot be 2 then. If this is 3, 2 could be either of those, so that works. If this is 9, this can't be 8, but 8 could be one of those two. So this is valid, and it's a 3 or 9. This can't be 1, 4, 5, or 8, so this is 2, 3, 6, 7, or 8? No, 6, 7, or 9. So cannot be 2 because it's not neighboring a 1, so this can't be 2. If it's 3, this could be a 2, so that's valid. If it's 6, it cannot be neighboring a 5, so that's not valid. Can't be 1, so no 2, no 3, no 6. 7. If it's 7, it cannot be touching a 6, so that's not valid. So we have a 3, 9, 3, 9 pair in this region 7. So the rest of the region cannot contain a 3. So this is 5 or 6. Which both seem to work. This is, again, 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8. 1 can obviously not be here. 5 cannot be here and here. And this can't be 6. 3, hold up. Oh, wait, no, this is, I think I was thinking of this wrong. That's not correct. Okay. Hold up. This is still correct. This is still correct. This cannot be 2. I don't know why I had this be, yeah. So 3 and 9 is not correct. Oh, yeah. No, this still is correct. My bad. This is actually still correct. This has to be a 1, because 1 can't be any of these 3. 1 can't be any of these 4, so it has to be one of these 2. So this can't be 1. This is 3 or 9. It's the logic here that was incorrect. This could be 2, 3, 6, 7, or 9. The 2 is not touching a 1, so that's valid. The 3 could be not touching a 2, and that would be valid. The 6 is not touching a 5, and therefore is valid. The 7 is not touching the 6, and therefore is valid. The 9 could be not touching the 8, and that would be valid. So, yeah. These are all valid. This cannot be 1, 4, or 9. It could be 2, 3, 6, 2, 3, 5, no 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8. That's too many. So I don't know if going down that path makes sense. It could be 2 here. So, okay. One of these is a star. Because one of these is a star, that means neither of these can be a star because they touch both. So these are valid. Interesting. Okay, so these are both valid. Oh, and this can't be 9. So this has to be a 2. This has to be a 9 because this is 9. So the 2 is valid and it's not touching a 1. So the 1 cannot be here. This is 9, and it cannot be touching an 8 because it's unshaded. So this can't be 8. This can't be 8. Therefore, the 8's one of those two. The 1 is one of those two, which is valid. So therefore, this is the 8 in column. And this is valid because it's not touching 8. So this can't be 8. This can't be 8. This can't be 2. So 2 is one of these two. 5 is one of these two. So this is what? 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. It can't be 5, though. So one of these three is a star, as we know. One of these two is a star. And 2 is not touched. Okay, so this is 1 with 3, 4, 6, and 7. This is 8 with 3, 4, 6, and 7. 3, 4, 6, 7. So this is valid. So one of these three is a star. Only one, right? So if it's here, okay, so say this was a star. If this was a star, you have to have 2 stars here, which is impossible. So one of the stars is here, one of the stars is here. This cannot be the star. So this is valid. And 2 cannot be here, because if 2 is... Oh, wait, no, 2 could be here, because 1 is not touching it. If this is 3, this would have to be 2, and therefore 3 would be touching 2, and it would have to be shaded. So 3 is not valid. If this can't be 6, so this is 2 or 7. 7 works, because then this would have to be 2, right? So one of these two is shaded. One of these two is shaded. So since one of these two is shaded, one of these two is a star. One of these two has to be the star. So this one can never be a star, right? Because it sees both of these. So this cannot be a star, so this is good. And this one is the star. Which means 3 touches 2, so that would be shaded, and that would be correct. So this can't be 3. 6 would be touching 5, and that's shaded, and it cannot be touching 5 then. So this would be 4, and this cannot be 4. This is valid. 3 does touch 2, and 6 does touch 5, so either of those are valid. These can't be 4. So now we have a 4. This can't be 6. We have a 1, 3, 6, 7, 8 quintuplet in row 4. So therefore, this is 4, 5, and this is 4, 5. So 6 has to be one of these two. This can't be 4 anymore. This is valid. And 1 not touching, yeah. 1 can be there. So this is valid. One of these two is a star and invalid. So this one can't be a star. So this one's valid. So 1 could work. 3 could work because it's not far away. 6 could work. And 7 could work. Yeah, so all of those still work. This cannot be a star. Let's see. So one of these two is, one of these two is. We don't know if one of those two are. Oh, we have all the shading for column 6 except for this one, and this has to be a star then. So this can't be 2, this can't be 9, this can't be 2. This is 3, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is unshaded, which means that the valid correction is that it must be shaded. So 3 works because it touches 2. 6 works because it touches 5. If this is 7, this could still be 8. And if this is 8, this could still be 7. So all the numbers are still valid here. These two now are correct. One of these two is, both cannot be, so therefore this is the star this is a star, and therefore we have 2 stars in row 6. So then this is valid and these are valid. So 8 must be touching 7. So 7 has to be one of these 4. Not 4. It has to be 7. So this can't be 7. This can't be 8. Hmm. So this is invalid. It's a star. We know one of these two are, so none of these can be a star. So these are both valid. Hmm. One of these three is... Okay, so none of these are. So one of these two has to be, and one of these two has to be. And then... I guess it could be those two. And then one of these is... Oh, this one can't be because of the star. This one can't be because of the star. So this is valid, this is valid. Okay, so... This is one, and this is one. So therefore, this cannot be, which makes this the star. So this can't be star. This has to be star. One of these three is... One of these three is... This, one of these two is a star, but we don't know which. Okay, so this is valid. 8 means, that means 7 is one of these 4. This 2 still could be valid or star. This is 1 or 7, which is... Okay, so this could be 1. It cannot be 3 because it's valid. So therefore, it should not be touching a 2. It cannot be 4. Could be 5 because it's not touching a 4, possibly. It could be a 6 because it's not touching a 5 because the 5 would have to be there. That's correct. It could be 7 because it's not touching a 6 and that would be 6. Yeah. Where is 9, interestingly enough? This is 9 and... So this cannot... Where's the 9? 9 cannot be anywhere else in... Cannot be here. Cannot be here because of this 9. Therefore, the 9 is either here or here. And they're both unshaded. But the unshading is incorrect. So that must be in the incorrect one. So it must be in the star. So this is 9. Because the 9 is next to the 8. And it's unshaded. So that's an incorrect value. This has to be 1, 3, 4, 5, or 7. This can't be 6 here because of the 6. So this is 3 or 5. These are all... This is correctly shaded. So 1 is valid here. 3 is valid here. 4 is valid here. 5 is valid here. 7 is not. So this cannot be 7. So 7 is one of these two. So since 7 is one of these two, this cannot be 7. So 7 is one of these 3. If 7's here, it's valid because it's touching 6. If 7's here, it's valid because it's not touching 6 and it's unshaded. This cannot be 1 because it's shaded, right? And 1 can't be touching 0. This could be 1 and unshaded. That's fine. This is 3 and shaded, so that works. This is 3 and unshaded, but it's invalid, so it cannot work. If this is 4, this is 5, and this is 3. So it would not be next to its 3. So this was invalid. If this is 4, this is 5, and this is 3. So it cannot be 4 either, right? This can't be 4. So if this was 4, this would have to be 5, and this would be 3. And therefore, the 4 would not be touching the 3. It's valid, so we know that the shading is correct, but the shading would be incorrect in this case, so therefore it can't be 4. If this is 4, this was 5, and this is 3. So either way, either of these are 4. This is 5, this is 3. The 4 would be next to a 3, but this is a valid shading, but the shading it's not shaded. So the 4 supposedly is not supposed to be touching 3, and it would be here. So this can't be 4. So neither of these are 4. This can't be 4 because of this 4. Therefore, the 4 can only be here. So this is 4, this is 5. The 4, we don't know if it's a star or not. This can't be 5. So this can't be 5. The 1 is not touching 0, the 6 is not touching 5, the 7 is not touching 6. So every one of those is still valid. One of these two has to be a star. Since one of these two has to be a star, this can never be a star. So this is valid, and this has to be the star. So since that's a star, this can never be a star because there's only 2 stars per column. So this is invalid, which means it cannot be 1 because it's unshaded, which means that we want it to be touching 1 less. So this cannot be 1. If it's 3, it's valid. If it's 4, it's valid. It's valid too. So 4, 3, and 4 work both there. One of these two is a star. We don't know. One of these 3 is a star. We don't know which either. One of these 2 has to be a star. One of these 2 has to be a star. Because we have no stars in any of these. How do we know that wasn't a star? Oh, because one of these 2 has to be a star. So neither of these could be stars, right? So one of these 2 is a star, one of these 2 is a star. Because one of these 2 is a star, neither of these can be a star. Because one of these 2 is a star, neither of these can be a star. So one of these 2 is a star. And we need 2 stars here, because so therefore this is a star and this is a star, because that's the only star that fulfills the shading. These can't be stars because we have 2 already in that row. These can't be stars because we only have 2 in those rows. So one of these 2 is a star. So this can't be a star, which means this is a star. So the 6 must be touching a 5, because the 6 normally in a valid cell would have to be away from the 5 because it's unshaded. But now that it's a star and invalid, it must be touching the 5. So this is 5, this is 3, which makes this 7 and this 1. So 7 is touching the 6, which is valid. 1 is touching nothing, which is 3 is not touching the 2. 5 is not touching the 4. 4 is not touching the 3. So that's all valid. This can't be 3, so we have a 1, 6, 7 triplet here. This can't be 1. This is valid and it's touching, so these are both essentially shaded, and they're both correct. So then this can't be a star because we have 2 in that column. So this has to be a star. So this is invalid, so it must act like it's shaded, which means the 4 must be next to it. So this is 4, this is 3. These are correct. So this can't be 3. This can't be 3. This has to be 9, which means 8 has to be somewhere along it. So 8 has to be one of these 2. So this can't be 9 anymore. 1 is fine in either place. If this is 6, it's fine in either place. If this is 7, that's fine because the 6 would have to be here. If this is 7, this would be 6. And this is unshaded, and this is also valid. So it should not be touching the 6. So this cannot be 7. This has to be 1. So then this is 1 or 6. 6 or 7. Neither of them are touching the 5 or touching the 6, so that those are both valid. This can't be 1 anymore. This cannot be 1. So therefore, this must be the 1, because that's the only one in that region. The 1 is always valid as not a number. Okay, so then we have only 2 spaces left for the stars in column 2. So this is a star, this is a star, which means neither of these can be stars, and this can't be a star. Therefore, this must be a star. We have 2 stars already in row 7, so this can't be a star. One of these is a star, one of these is a star. We don't know which. And so this has to be 2, 3, 6, or 7. It cannot be a 9. So the 9's one of these 3. Okay, this can't be a 4. Cannot be a 4. This is 7 or 8. So if it's a 7, the 6 must be one of these 2. If it's an 8, the 7 has to be one of those 3. Okay. This is 5, and it's touching a 4, right? So that's fine. Okay, let's remove the greens because it's kind of confusing. I still want to be able to see the shading. So this is unshaded, which is valid. So this is unshaded, so this cannot be a 1. Right? Because the star makes it an error, so therefore it must be considered as shaded. So 1 can never be next to 0, so this can't be 1. So this is not a 1, therefore this is a 1, which means 1 is one of these two. This can't be 7. This is valid too, so this can't be 1 because it's shaded. So this is 4, this is 1. Therefore this is 7, this is 8. Therefore the 7 must be next to a 6 because it's considered as shaded. Therefore in the same region, so this has to be a 6, which makes that a 5. This has to be a 6, this is a 7. This can't be 6 or 7, so this is 2 or 3. This can't be 7, this can't be 7. No 3 here. No 3 here, no 3 here. So the 7 is touching a 6. We have 2, 3, and 4. They're all valid. So the 4 cannot be next to a 3. Okay, 2, 3, 4, 9. But these can't be 4. This is 1, 5. So this can't be 4. Therefore, this is the 4, which means this can't be 4. This has to be 9, because there's no other place for 9. So 4 has to be here. Because this is valid, this is valid, this is valid. So 4 being here means it cannot be next to a 3, because it's valid. So this is a 2, this is a 3. This can't be 5. We have, that's 3 in the corner. We celebrate. This is 6, 7, 8, and 9. This can't be 9. This can't be 7 or 8. This can't be 6. We know these can't be, this can't be. So one of these 3 is invalid. Actually, it can't be this one, right? We know one of these is a star. We know one of these is a star. So the star could be either here or it could be here. So everything else is valid. 2 is not touching the 1, 3 is not touching the 2, 4 is not touching the 2. Okay, so this is what? 1, 5, and 7? 1, 5, and 7. No, can't be 5. 1's 3 and 7. 1, 3, and 7. So this can't be 1. That means 3 can't be here. This is 2 and 9. So this can't be 2 or 3. This has to be a 6, which is a star, and it's touching a 5. So it should be shaded, but it's not. So therefore, that's valid. This has to be an 8. This can't be a 6, so this is 7. This is 2. This can't be 2, so this is a 3, 6 pair. This can't be 6, so this is 3. This is a 6. Since this is a 6 and valid, it must be touching a 5, so this has to be 5, and this must be 7 then. So this is 6, 7, 8. 6, this can't be 6 or 8. This is 7. This can't be 7. This can't be 7. These can't be 7, so this has to be, this is a 6, 8, 6, 8 pair, so this is a 9. So this is 7. The 7 is, okay, so the 9 can never be touching the 8, because this is valid, and so it can never be touching the 8 in this region, so this is 6, this is 8. This 8 is not touching the 7, so that's valid. This can't be 6. This can't be 8, so this is a 6. So this is 3. This is 8. This can't be 7, 8, or 9. Can't be 6. So this is 2 or 5. This is 2 or 5. This is 2, 3, or 5. This can't be 2. If this is 5 or 3, it's touching a 4 or 2. So this is valid. Okay. This one, okay, so this must contain a 1 and a 6. So this can't be 1 or 6. So one of these is 1 or 6. And then this is a 3 or 5. Then it can't be 3, because if this is 3, this would be touching. Why can't this be 3? I don't know why that can't be 3. I had already marked these 4 as being a 3. I don't know why I did that. Okay, well, let's remove these 3s because that's confusing me. One of these 3 is 5. This can't be 7, this can't be 7, this can't be 7. This can't be 7, this can't be 7. So therefore, this can't be 7, this can't be 7, this has to be 7, which is valid because the 7 is not touching 6, and this is an incorrect shaded cell. So that works. This is a correct cell, so it can never be 1, because 1 can never be in a correct shaded cell. So this is 3, this is 1, which forces this to be 6, and this 1, this is 8. This is 2 or 9. This can't be 5. This is 2, 3, or 9. So these two are correct. Actually, this is correct also. 5 and 3 both work. 2 and 9 would make... if this is 2, this would have to be 3. And therefore, the 2 would... Oh, these cannot be 2, because these are correct. And these are unshaded. So it would have to be not next to a 9, not next to a 1, but they both are. So this has to be the correct 2. So this is 2, which makes this 9, which makes this 2, which makes this 9. This can't be 2, so this is 5, 3, and 2. This can't be... This is 3 or 5, but this can't be 5. So this has to be 5, and that has to be 3. Let's just make sure, but like... So the reds are... Okay, so the reds... The 5 is next to a 4, so this is valid. The 2 is not... Oops. The 5 is not next to a 4, so this is valid. Or the 5 is next to a 4, so the shading works. The 2 is next to a 1, so it should be shaded, but it's not. So therefore, this can't be shaded. So therefore, these are the shadings. Let's just double check all the way through. 1 obviously can't be shaded unless it's in the wrong thing. So it's a wrong thing here. It's a wrong thing here. So that's fine. All the other ones are shaded. 2s. The 2 is not next to the 1, so that's fine. This 2 is not next to the 1 and is correct. That's fine. The 2 is next to the 1 and is shaded. It's fine. This 2 is not next to the 1 and is unshaded. Or is correct. Unshaded. Yeah, and correct. So that's fine. The 2 is not next to the 1 and is unshaded. That's correct. The 2 is next to the 1, but it's wrong and it's unshaded. So that's correct. The 2 is next to the 1 and shaded. That's correct. 2 is not next to the 1 and unshaded. That's correct. The 2 is next to the 1 and shaded and correct. So that works. So 2s are working. 3s. 3 is next to the 2. It's shaded and valid. 3 is next to the 2, but it's unshaded, but it's not correct. So that's valid too. The 3 is not next to the 2. It's valid and unshaded. So that works. 3 is not next to the 2. It's valid and unshaded. That works. 3 is next to the 2 and is shaded and valid. That's correct. If this is 3, this 3 is next to the 2, so it's unshaded, and that's correct. This 3 is next to the 2, so it's shaded, that's correct. 3 is not next to the 2, it's unshaded, it's correct. 3 is next to the 2, but it's unshaded, and it's not correct, so that's good. Okay, so 3s are working. 4 is not next to the 3, and is unshaded, good. 4 is next to the 3, and is shaded, good. 4 is not next to the 3, and is unshaded, that's good. 4 shaded next to the 3, good. 4 is unshaded, or 4 shaded next to the 3, or not next to the 3, and it's invalid, so that's good. This 4 is not next to the 3, is unshaded, that's good. This 4 is next to the 3 and is shaded, that's good. 4 is next to the 3, shaded, good. 4 not next to the 3, unshaded, good. So the 4s are good. 5 is unshaded, not next to the 4, that's good. 5 not next to the 4, unshaded, good. 5 is next to the 4 and shaded, good. 5 is next to the 4, unshaded, but it is a star, so that's good. 5 is next to the 4 and shaded, good. 5 is not next to the 4, unshaded, good. 5 is next to the 4, unshaded, but it's a star, so that's good. 5 is not next to the 4, unshaded, good. 5 is next to the 4, shaded, good. Okay, so 5s are working. What about 6s? Oh, we don't have, so 6s. 6 next to the 5, unshaded, but it's a star, so that's good. 6 next to the 5, it's shaded, that's good. 6 next to the 5, but it's unshaded, but it's in a star, so that's good. 6 not next to the 5, it's unshaded, good. 6 next to the 5, but it's unshaded, but it's not good. So that's good. It's a star, that's not good. That is good. too many goods and whatever. 6 is next to the 5. It's unshaded, but that's a star, so that's good. 6 is next to the 5. It's shaded and good. 6 is next to the 5. It's unshaded, but it's a star, so that's good. 6 is next to the 5. Wow, a lot of 6s were stars. Interesting. 6 was next to the 5, but it's unshaded, but it's a star, so that's good. So 6 is good. 7. 7 is not next to the 6, and it's shaded, so that's good. But because it's a star, sorry. It's shaded, but it's a star, so it's good. 7 is next to this. No, this 7. Oh, I almost did the. This 7 is not next to the 6, and it's unshaded, so that's good. This 7 is not next to this 6, so that it's unshaded, so that's good. This 7 is not next to this 6, it's unshaded, that's good. This 7 is not next to this 6, it's unshaded, that's good. This 7 is next to the 6, it's shaded, so that's good. This 7 is next to the 6, it's unshaded, but it's also a star, so that's good. This 7 is not next to the 6, it's shaded, but it's a star also, so that's good. This 7 is not next to the 6, it's unshaded, that's good. 8. 8 is next to the 7, shaded, good. 8 not next to the 7, unshaded, 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 good. 8 next to the 7, shaded, good. 8 next to the 7, shaded, good. 8 next to the 7, shaded, good. 8 not next to the 7, unshaded, good. And then we have 9s. 9 is not next to the 8, it's unshaded, that's good. 9 is not next to the 8, that's unshaded, that's good. 9 is not next to the 8, it's unshaded, that's good. 9 is next to the 8, it's shaded, that's good. 9 is not next to the 8, it's unshaded, that's good. 9 is next to the 8, it's unshaded, but it's a star, so that's good. 9 is next to the 8, it's shaded, that's good. 9 is not next to the 8, it's unshaded, that's good. 9 is not next to the 8, it's unshaded, that's good. And that shows that this star battle works. Very clever. I like this, actually. This was a very cool puzzle. Yeah, I enjoyed it. And I hope you enjoyed this solve too. And I'll see you next time on Frank Puzzles. Take care.